Canada is absolutely furious. It's not playing around when it comes to Donald Trump, his regime, and how the United States under Donald Trump is treating Canada. Premier Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, and these premiers of Canada were not playing around. Many other states as well are absolutely terrified of the Canada tourism and product boycott against the United States. Las Vegas has basically been halted to a standstill as Canadians and it will not be bullied by the Trump regime. Here's Prime Minister Carney.
Canadians are fundamentally positive people.
What happens when you mess with your closest trade partners? Trump just found out. The EU and Canada didn't just clap back, they're playing chess while Trump is stuck taking a swing at checkers. A $150 billion retaliation targeting everything from bourbon to Boeing. But here's the kicker. This move could melt American industries faster than ice cream on a summer day. Want the juicy details on how this economic chess game is unfolding? Stay tuned. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Imagine strutting into a room thinking you're the big boss, only to find your so-called allies passing notes behind your back. That's exactly where Trump landed with his trade war master plan. He slapped tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, claiming it was to protect American industries. The idea? Force other countries to play by his rules or pay the price. But instead of waving the white flag, the EU and Canada made a pact that left Trump looking like he'd just been outsmarted at his own game.
So as I mentioned yesterday, Prime Minister Carney was joining the premier meeting taking place in Huntsville, Ontario, being hosted by, I want to show you what went down and what these strong, positive Canadian messages look like and how Canada is fighting back. I want to talk about some of the implications as well. People, for example, in Wisconsin right now, this is when he spoke with the other premiers in Canada, and he said fundamentally he wanted to make this point. Canadian people are positive people.
With their family, with their friends, they're making choices to buy Canadian products. We're making choices to build Canadian. That's what Canadians are. Canadians are making choices to visit this great country, spend time here.
Here's the bombshell. The EU and Canada joined forces and dropped $150 billion worth of retaliation on the US, and they weren't subtle about where they aimed their shots. Ever heard of targeted strikes? That's what this was. For example, the EU slapped a massive tariff on bourbon, which isn't just any drink. It's a key industry in Mitch McConnell's home state of Kentucky. And surprise, McConnell happens to be a key ally of Trump's. Meanwhile, Canada turned up the heat with taxes on American steel and aluminum, making it painfully expensive for US manufacturers to import supplies. The whole thing had Trump scrambling faster than a kid caught in a cookie jar. But here's what makes this move so brutal. It wasn't randomly thrown together. These countermeasures were designed to hit politically sensitive areas in the US, places that voted for Trump and would feel the hurt directly. Research even shows that targeting industries like bourbon or steel isn't just an economic decision. It's a pressure point aimed at shaking Trump's political base. Suddenly, his America First agenda looked less like a win for the US and more like a double-edged sword. And this isn't just about taxes anymore. The EU and Canada are rewriting global trade routes while US industries risk losing markets to competitors. Think Airbus in Europe or steelmakers in Brazil. What's Trump's next move? Whatever it is, he might want to consult a map because this trade war is leaving him in uncharted waters. Wondering what happens when American industries start to sweat under this pressure? Let's see how they're holding up. When bourbon, Boeing, and SUVs start taking hits in a trade war, you know things aren't just messy, they're catastrophic. Trump's tariffs were supposed to be a win for American industries, but with the EU and Canada's retaliation, they're now the ones holding the short end of the stick. And we're not just talking about some minor inconveniences here. Whole industries, aviation, automotive, and agriculture, are caught in the crossfire. Take Boeing, for instance. The EU hit American-made planes with a staggering 35% tariff. For a company like Boeing, which was already juggling delays and competition from Airbus, this was like kicking someone while they're down. Then you've got Detroit, the beating heart of America's automotive industry. European customers, tired of inflated prices thanks to tariffs, are now switching to local or Asian car makers. The result? U.S. automakers are losing market share faster than anyone expected, leaving assembly lines in Michigan and Ohio eerily quiet. But let's not forget the bourbon tax. This move from the EU specifically hit Kentucky's signature industry, and if you're wondering if that was a coincidence, nope.
They were united against Trump, from the conservative to NDP to liberal. They put out joint statements saying that we're standing up to the United States. And Prime Minister Carney, I think, exhibited exceptional leadership. People from foreign countries are just not spending their tourism dollars in the United States. Remember, that started in Canada. Hat tip to the Maple Midas, Canada strong, Canada proud. So here's Prime Minister Carney in Huntsville, Ontario. And despite all the negativity coming from Trump and the United States, Canada is going to pursue a positive path. It's going to establish relationships with the rest of the world.
Projects. That is happy, positive, productive, and that's the true nature of Canada.
Kentucky also happens to be home to Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, a key Trump ally. Bourbon distilleries are now struggling with declining sales overseas, forcing some to cut back on production. Over in Texas, Canada added a tariff on American rum, creating ripple effects for smaller distilleries that depend on exporting to Caribbean markets through Canadian trade hubs. When a Texan liquor company starts sweating, you know something's gone wildly wrong. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about higher prices or lost sales. These tariffs have thrown entire supply chains into chaos. Raw materials that used to flow in and out smoothly are now bottlenecked, driving up costs for manufacturers. Long-term contracts are disrupted, and companies are scrambling to find new suppliers, often at a higher price. It's like trying to patch a sinking ship while the water keeps rising. What's worse is that this isn't just economic. This is political chess at its finest. By hitting Trump's voter base where it hurts most, Canada and the EU are cranking up the pressure. Industries that once cheered for Trump's America First policies are now questioning whether they backed the wrong horse. And with the EU and Canada digging in for the long haul, you've got to wonder, has Trump's trade war already backfired spectacularly? The $150 billion retaliation isn't just a slap on the wrist, it's a rewrite of global trade rules, with the US more isolated than ever. Boeing, Bourbon, and Detroit's SUVs are bleeding profits, while competitors like Airbus and Asian car makers sip champagne. Analysts are predicting brutal numbers. Boeing could lose $110 billion in European orders over 5 years, and America's SUVs could see their European market share plummet to less than 7%. Here's the irony. As Trump builds his wall of tariffs, he might actually be financing greener industries in Canada and the EU. So, will this trade war end in triumph or total disaster?